Week 1 of the January transfer window is already over and done with, and Tottenham have certainly been one of the more active clubs in the Premier League, bringing in one target already in new goalkeeper Antonin Kinski, signed for £12.5 million, 5.5-year deal. He impressed on his debut in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg win over Liverpool on Wednesday night, and it is looking like a great bit of business already. Welcome to a series that I'm going to be running across the entire January transfer window, a weekly roundup of the rumours that are flying around social media about Tottenham's transfer targets, who they may or may not be pursuing, where they are in terms of negotiations and advancements in these deals. So if you do want to stay informed about all of the latest Tottenham transfer news, do like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Welcome along. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed over the last couple of weeks. Your support has been absolutely fantastic, and thank you once again. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. As I mentioned, Antonin Kinski is already through the door and signed, but there are plenty of other names being linked with Tottenham. And it's only 10 days into the January transfer window. We knew this was going to happen. Those of you who know Johan Lange and know how he operates, he loves to work under the radar, so we can't even be sure that these players that we're being linked with are who we are actually targeting and trying to advance on deals for. However, there are a few that seem to be getting towards the latter stages and looking like they may be happening. One target in particular, and that's who I want to start with. Randal Kolo Muani from Paris Saint-Germain. Some papers, reporters, accounts are going so far as to suggest that the deal is almost done. Personal terms having been agreed with Kolo Muani from PSG. We know that Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy has a very close relationship with PSG chairman Nasser Al-Khelaifi, so it is definitely one that we've all been keeping an eye on sort of the first week of the January transfer window. Tottenham are not the only team interested in the forward. Manchester United are also keeping tabs, and Juventus seem to be pushing for him as well. So it seems like, from the reports, it's a race between Tottenham and Juventus, with Man United staying informed on the deal. Ange Postecoglou wants a versatile forward who can play across the entire front line, who can play as a striker, as a winger, who is quick, direct, loves to run with the ball, and Kolo Muani fits all of those categories. It is said that PSG want a loan with an obligation deal before they give the green light on this, with the fee looking around 50 to 55 million pounds. So I feel like that would be the stumbling block for Spurs if this deal were to not go ahead. It's whether they want to go through with that obligation to buy. They'll probably push for more of an option to buy, and we will see in the coming days whether anything actually comes of that deal. As I mentioned, some accounts are reporting that personal terms have been agreed with Kolo Muani himself, but it is always the negotiations between the two clubs that are the main hurdle when completing a transfer. Kolo Muani's not really getting much game time in France this season for the French champion, so there's no doubt that he will want to leave to get more minutes on the pitch, and a move to the Premier League I think is pretty appealing to anyone, and it does seem like Ange is a big fan of him, so it makes sense that this is a deal that Tottenham are pursuing quite hard. Elsewhere across the front line, there have been murmurs that Tottenham do have an interest in Marcus Rashford. Obviously, Ruben Amorim has sort of made him an outcast at Manchester United. He's not really playing, and it seems they do want to get rid. He's one of the highest earners at the club, and they reckon they could recoup a decent fee for the England international. AC Milan are currently leading the race for Rashford, with talks over a loan deal well underway. The issue for Tottenham, if they were to go for a deal like this, I think, is whether they could afford the wages for Marcus Rashford. He's on, I think, more than any of our top earners at the club. Our top earner at the club is Heung-min Son on around 200 plus K a week. I think Rashford's on 300 and something, or just underneath that a week. So Tottenham went through this whole process of reducing their wage bill and restructuring it. So it just, while it would be a very interesting signing and one I'd be intrigued to see, I'd be very keen to see Rashford in a Tottenham shirt. It's a chance for him to restart his career. You know, he's a homegrown player. He probably fits the mould of a type of winger that Ange Postecoglou wants. Direct, loves to beat his man. It just seems a little bit unrealistic to me. I'm not sure whether Manchester United would sell to a rival. However, the rumours are there. People have been saying it, but it does seem like it's just interest and one that they're keeping an eye on at the moment rather than actively pursuing. Another area that Spurs are really keen to strengthen in is the defence. Now, we know we are absolutely plagued with injuries across that back line, so it's only natural that there have been links to defenders, left backs, centre backs, the lot. I think the strongest links in the first week of this January transfer window have been to PSG, centre back Milan Skriniar. Those of you that have followed Spurs for a long time know that Tottenham wanted Skriniar under Antonio Conte but never got a deal over the line. He ended up going from Inter Milan to PSG, but I don't think he's having the best time there either, similar to Kolo Muani. Galatasaray from Turkey are very interested in him, and there have been also reports of him moving on loan there, so it would perhaps be a tussle between the two clubs. Again, I'm not sure entirely how much he fits that Ange Postecoglou mould in terms of playing out from the back, playing under pressure. We've seen it a few times with Radu Dragusin in terms of struggling to deal with being pressed and play those risky passes. I do think Milan Skriniar is a level above Radu Dragusin. Whether he is that sort of player to play in the system that we do have under Postecoglou, I'm not entirely sure. It's another one to keep an eye on. Yeah, I feel like Tottenham are sensing a lot of opportunities in this January transfer window. So if there is a deal there to be done on the cheap or on a loan and we haven't managed to get any other defensive targets in, perhaps that's them one that they could pull the trigger on. Now, I know Jed Spencer's been excellent at left back since Destiny Udogi's been out injured. However, there were strong links to Lens defender Abdikir Kushanov. Forgive me if I've absolutely butchered the pronunciation of that. It does look like he is going from Lens to Manchester City. The fee that the French side were asking for is around £50 million, which has put Tottenham off a potential deal for him. Obviously, young, breaking through the ranks defender, can play at left back, can play at centre back, and he is very, very highly rated when it comes to the data and the statistics, which is how Tottenham do a lot of their scouting and how they identify players under Lange, is by looking at the numbers and looking at the data. In this case, Pep Guardiola seems to be getting a man that he wants in Kushanov, and they are willing to pay the money that the Lions are asking for. So while there was interest from Tottenham on this player, it looks like that deal is dead in the water. That'll be interesting to see if any other defensive targets emerge over the next sort of 2.5-3 weeks. Moving into midfield, which is the other area where a few players' names have started to be linked with Tottenham in the first week of the transfer window. One of them being Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis. Those of you that follow along on social media will know that Spurs have first option to buy Johnny Cardoso from Betis in the summer. They did a negotiation and have agreed that, so Spurs have the chance to put a bid in and get a deal over the line before anyone else if they choose to in the summer. Reports are saying that Tottenham may consider accelerating this move and pulling the trigger in January to provide that midfield reinforcement and just add a bit more depth to the squad. Obviously, Cardoso is a USA international, and the fee would be looking around 20 to 30 million pounds. Likewise, another midfielder Spurs have been linked with is Douglas Luiz from Juventus. Now, he only joined Juventus from Aston Villa in the summer, though reports are suggesting that he's failed to really settle in Italy and he would be very, very keen on a move back to England. Sky Sports have been out saying that many Premier League clubs are interested in him, and reports have further come from that saying that Tottenham are one of the interested parties. Again, this could be a potential loan deal until the summer with an option or an obligation to buy if Tottenham do decide to pursue that. I think this would be an excellent signing. I'm a big fan of Douglas Luiz. He's excellent at switching the play, retaining the ball in a deep line midfield role, and he seems like the perfect type of player that we need under Ange Postecoglou, especially with question marks around when Rodrigo Bentancur is going to return, Archie Gray still being used in defence, and we need to manage the minutes of Basuma, Lucas Bergvall and everyone else in between. That's about it in terms of the incomings for Tottenham, and there has been one name that has been linked with leaving the club in the January transfer window, and that is Timo Werner. Reports saying that Eintracht Frankfurt are considering making a move for Timo Werner to replace Omar Marmoush, who is off to Manchester City as well. City absolutely splashing the cash in the January transfer window, it seems. Losing their best striker, their best player in the January transfer is a huge blow for them, so they're going to want to have a replacement lined up. It would be a very complicated deal to do purely because Spurs have Werner on loan, so he would have to have his loan terminated by RB Leipzig, and then they would negotiate a deal with Frankfurt to have the winger. And especially if we're bringing in another forward/winger, I feel like it would be best for all parties. So that's everything in week 1 of the January transfer window. Outgoings, incomings, all of the names really being linked to Tottenham. What do you make of them? Are any of those players that I've mentioned ones that you'd be keen to see in a Tottenham shirt, and do you think those deals will get over the line? I will be doing another roundup late next week for week 2 of the January transfer window, and let's hope that Tottenham have officially signed at least one more player before then, and we can go into the second half of the January transfer window focusing on any more opportunities to deepen and strengthen the squad as we enter a very crucial period of the season with the Europa League, the FA Cup, Carabao Cup semi-final second leg as well. So thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the FA Cup game against Tamworth on Sunday. I will be live on here on Saturday afternoon building my predicted lineup and talking about the game. So make sure you check that out as well, if you're about, of course. If not, I'll have a reaction piece out at some point. So I will catch you then. As always, come on you Spurs.